my personal journey into the alternative bank and non-interest banking started as a student. I studied economics, and I often wondered, how do we bring in the factors of production together at the right time, in the right place, in the right proportion? Because far too often, if you look at Nigeria, for instance, we have a massive amount of labor, but there isn't enough capital. Or you go into a certain part of the country and there's a lot of land, but there's no labor or no capital. To create output, you have to bring all of it together, right? So I started to think about it, and eventually I ended up with the idea. The idea that came at my desk, I sat up and I invested my time and resources in it, and I had to sell it to the institution, convince the institution that this is in fact the right direction to go. At that time, when you go back 14 years ago, it wasn't very clear. People didn't necessarily believe. In fact, the central bank hadn't concluded the framework for non-interest banking. So we were at the forefront of pushing for that framework to be completed. There were public debates in which we had to contribute to clarify, so that the society understand that this is for the good of the society. And eventually those regulations were passed, and we then became one of the early institutions to benefit from. I think the most important clarification is that Alt Bank is not a faith-based financial services. I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking this is banking for Muslims. It is not, far from it. The foundation of Alt Bank is economics. It's this idea that if you go around African countries, or Nigeria in particular, you'll find out that we have very limited access to capital. And we have limited access to capital because there's limited savings. So if you look at the savings to GDP ratio, it's quite low in Nigeria. And the question then becomes, how do you get financing to people who don't even have any skin in the game or any savings of their own? We need to think of a financial services system that is a partnership model, that does not require you to have collateral, that does not require you to have an existing business that has been around for a while, but instead a business that says that if you are skillful, if you're talented, if you're trustworthy, and you have the experience, then the financial institution will come to you as a partner, and then you can come together. You say, okay, you bring in your talent, we will bring in the resources, and together we run the business and we share the profit. So it is an economic imperative. It's about solving a problem that affects our people with a financial services solution that is designed or can work better for our people, right? So it is easier to explain it to a trader, to someone who wants to start up a business, to someone who is in agriculture and requires financing, because they intuitively get it. What they don't want is an interest obligation that is effect outside their control. Whereas where it's a profit sharing obligation, they can do the best work they're able to do, and then share profit with their partner. So the way to think about the alternative bank is to first start with the users of the alternative bank. What businesses struggle for is demonstrating that they deserve capital. Traditional banking would ask you to show me your last 5 years' performance. They would ask you to show your collateral. Sometimes they ask you for equity. And in many cases, small businesses especially, they don't have this yet. Businesses that are just starting up, they don't have this yet. The alternative bank offers an opportunity where I focus on the business person, I focus on the entrepreneur, and once I'm convinced that you're the right entrepreneur, then I bring in financing. And once you bring in financing and entrepreneurship together, two critical factors of production already exist. It's now easy for you to pay for labor and for you to pay for land, and then you create output. So at the bottom of this thinking is that we have to find a way to release the factor of production that is scarce in Africa, and in so doing, we'll create economic productivity and we'll create prosperity.